Hello, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. Before we get into it, make sure you do subscribe. We've just hit 40,000 subscribers, so thanks very much for that. I'm joined by Rob and a very jet-lagged Adam P. We've just seen Rob Lee's talk at the Surf Cafe. Thanks to Adam for sorting that out for me and Rob to come, and had some lovely free food as well. So lads, the front three for Villa, it's very up for debate, I think. We've seen with new signings, Eddie's like to kind of nurse them in the side, but needs must, I think. First of all, on the left side, you've now got, with Maxi leaving, you've got Gordon there, or Harvey Barnes, or potentially Isa. On the left side, who do you think is going to sit in there? Come to you first, Rob.
Yeah, I've really liked Gordon this pre-season. As the cliche goes, it's going to be like a new signing. If you can, really step into his boots this year and play some football, I'm really excited to see him. But at the same time, we've had Gordon. Eddie Howe knows we've got Gordon, but he still chose to go and bring Harvey Barnes in. And as much as he took his time with Bruno of whether he was going to play or not, I think he plays Barnes. But it's hard for me to say because I've not really seen Barnes. He could be doing magical things in training. What I've seen is Gordon look really good. So really, based on what I've seen, I should probably say start Gordon first game.
I'd probably agree with watching him at the Euros, but Adam, you were there for the whole American tour. You saw them in the training as well. Who would you pick?
Well, I mean, with Harvey Barnes, I think his gameplay has been quite limited so far. I wouldn't class Isak as an out-wide player. I know he did play on the left-hand side a lot last season, but I do class him as a striker this time. Well, and I think if Newcastle was to keep playing Isak out wide, I think we would have went in for a striker by now. We haven't done that, which implies to me that we're happy with Wilson and Isak as the two strikers. I mean, for me, I probably would start Barnes, to be honest. Obviously, he's a big major signing coming in, just less than £40 million. Though Gordon was a little bit more than that. But he's still someone for me that I think needs a bit of time to settle in. I thought he had a great time at the Euros, it's a great experience for him. But ultimately, Harvey Barnes is more experienced. He's someone that's got 13 goals out of a bad Leicester City team last season. I think going into the Aston Villa game as well, I just think Harvey Barnes is going to be a better fit in the game. I've got to be honest about it. I mean, it's going to be interesting because these are two players that I think have a lot to give, have a lot to kind of show to the fans. I think on paper, both these signs would have came, and I think fans have been a bit critical towards both of them. So I think it's definitely a good opportunity for both of them to kind of step with the plate and go, well, you know what, this is what I can do in the pitch. But in my personal opinion, I would actually start Harvey Barnes if I was Eddie Howe in this position. We'll
move over into the middle. As you mentioned, Isak is an out-and-out striker, same as Captain Wilson. So you've got them two battling out. We'll go to that first because we'll come to the right, and when we get to the right side of the attack, it starts to get a little bit. I think I need the clip of what's he called from The Apprentice. Oh, I'm getting a little bit shaky. But yeah, Isak or Wilson. Rob, who have you got in there?
For the first game of the season, I think you could possibly flip a coin. I think to answer that question, what I would say more of is that who do I want to see more of this season? And I think the answer is Isak or Isaac. I think last season Wilson had probably one of the best seasons of his career. It's weird because he didn't play loads of football, but I would actually go ahead and say that over the next, and that's the way to keep Wilson going for the next 2 seasons as well. The more we play Isak, the longer Callum Wilson will keep playing for us. You'll keep some of it, you'll keep his energy, you'll hopefully, stay safe from injuries as well. So I would go with, wanting to see Isak more. But for the first game of the season, I would say it's a toss-up to say that Isak automatically takes Wilson's place. I think would be unfair. I think he scored loads of goals. He's a great player. He's got the floodlights on. I don't know, at home, I might go Wilson, to be honest. But as I say, in the long run, it's Isak I want to see more of.
It's so tough. I mean,
yeah.
How could he not start both? I mean, they're both class on there. Well, I mean, Wilson last season, he's done incredible to get so many goals. I mean, that's the best contribution in his entire career. And I think last season, probably fans would criticise him for being an injury-prone striker who's past his prime. But in reality, I don't really think he is an injury-prone striker since Eddie Howe's came. He's had one injury, which was against Man U, which I would have said is an impact injury anyway. So I think
funny what happens when you train more than twice a week.
I was about to mention that. I think it's definitely more of a fitness thing from the previous manager and previous regime than Wilson actually being an injury-prone striker. As for Isak, I mean, his ability is ridiculous. He's got the world at his feet for just over £60 million. It's an absolute no-brainer for the club, and He's someone that is going to be a long-term striker. He's someone that is going to be here for the future. Wilson, as good as he is, I think is going to be narrowing down over the next couple of years. So I think it is important to try your best to build for the future. But for the Villa game, as Rob said, it costed time, toss a coin. I think you pick any of them, to be honest.
I mean, we've just lost Matty, who, well, Rob Lee mentioned he was the shining light during Ashley. I think that's an opinion everyone holds. But in terms of a player that's going to get you off your seat, I think the likes of Gordon and Isak will be able to do that. We've seen them in pre-season taking on players. Yeah. And one thing I will say, we've skipped over on the left side that I haven't mentioned, it is Willock and Joe Linton last season. That pivot those two had was quite pivotal to the success we had last season.
Yeah.
Do you think, will we still see that at times this season coming up, or do you think, you know, now we've got Harvey Barnes and Gordon there, yeah. Gordon there now, do you think that's going to go? Do you think the Harvey Barnes and Gordon's enough competition on that left-hand side, or do you think that pivot will still come in time?
I think we'll probably will see it again. I think as much as anything else, and it's you know, it's great to talk about like lineups and who we want to see play, and you know, Rob Lee did the same thing in the talk we've just been in. But we've got a lot of games coming up, and I think as much as anything else as well, I think a lot of the reason we played Joe Linton out on the left was as much the fact that we tried to play Isak on the left, and we were trying to fit in all of our best players. Going into this season, we're not going to be able to fit them all on, you know. I think a lot, and they did work really well, and what works for Eddie Howe he sticks with. Well, that's why we've seen Dan Burn keep his place at left back. That's why we saw probably Joe Linton keep his place on the left, even with a Gordon coming in at the side of 45 million and didn't get a game. So if it's working for Eddie Howe, he'll stick with it. But I generally think now with a Barnes and a Fire and Gordon, and look, even an Elliot Anderson who can play out wide as well, we're starting to have more players who can play those places. So I think Willock playing left side or Joe, I would say he'll probably be less.
Yeah. Oof, well, I think the midfield depth's interesting. Now for me, I actually think it's Newcastle's best midfield
it's mental, isn't it?
ever. Like, I can't think of a better team where we've had this many good midfielders. I mean, you've got the three starting, most likely it's going to be Bruno, Jordan, and then tonight your big three sides. And then after that, you got Longstaff, Willock, Anderson, Miley. I mean, this could just go on. That's 7 good players already. It's just ridiculous how much talent Newcastle actually has in the midfield now. We've seen before players like Jordan can play out wide. I think they're all there to be versatile. Players are there to kind of fit in roles. Let's say, for example, someone like Harvey Barnes or Gordon gets injured, players are there to do that. But ultimately, Newcastle have just got a good team now. I think we just need to get a couple more signs in. Then need to make sure we can properly freshen the team out. But I mean, we've got a real team. I think we do.
3 defenders for me would be the perfect window. I think a right back to come in. Livramento would be probably the ideal one. Someone to nurture quite quickly into the squad. You know, if you can, I know we had a ropey season last season with injuries and stuff like that. But and then a left back, an out and out left back to challenge Dan Burn, and then a right covering centre half, because you know Shaw's obviously had his couple of niggles here and there in pre-season as well. Yeah. But we'll get onto that right side of the attack.
Yeah.
Miggy or Murphy? Who are you feeling, Rob?
Honestly, I would probably go with whoever I didn't pick for the left side. I would be going Gordon, Barnes and Wilson up front. I like Murphy. I think Murphy did a great job last season. I would laugh and joke about him smiling when he's taking off and all that kind of jazz. But I think it helps the dressing room. I think, you know, again, talking about what we've just been in there, and Rob Lee talking about the fact that Keegan wanted to build a team on players who actually wanted to be at the club. I think Eddie Howe's doing the same, and I think it makes a difference, and Murphy's that guy. I think it's great that he's actually started playing some, you know, for a while I'm thinking, is Murphy going to have it in this club for long? Because he wasn't playing well, and as soon as, you know, Almiron started like picking up, and then Murphy's doing all right, and it's a bit of like competition. But I like that Barnes can probably play anywhere across the front 3. I like that Gordon can pretty much play anywhere across the front 3. To rule Miggy out, I think, is harsh after the season he had, but I would say that, and he's just literally scored a few goals in pre-season as well, but I would stick with what I've said previously. I would go Barnes, Wilson, Gordon.
I like it, Adam.
Well, I think it says a lot, to be honest. A bit harsh, almost, I could say, but the fact that you're going to put a second left side player on the right, I think does say a lot about the right hand side. I mean, it's tough. Well, Miggy's someone last season that going into this season, nobody rated him at all. He's someone that statistically doesn't get any goal contributions whatsoever. I think 1 goal in 36 matches. I mean, it's terrible. He comes into this season, has the best month of his life in November, scores 7 goals the month and literally wins the player of the month. And he gets injured and he comes back and yes, he doesn't score as many, but I still think he does a lot in the pitch. I actually like him a lot. He's someone that I think, he does have faults, he does have flaws. The fact he's one-footed, for example, he's quite a predictable player. He's someone that...
If Mickey could play on his right foot as well, he'd be an absolute world beater. If he could cross with his right foot, he'd be week in, week out.
Well, he's definitely a player that is replaceable, but I do think on his day he's very good. I think against Villa as well, I'm in the home game, I know they didn't have a manager at the time, but he's still someone that is an absolute menace to get in behind. And I think that's the sort of energy you kind of want in your early games, I would say. Just depends on how he plays. Sometimes he can have off days, but when he's on it, I think he's a real good player. I would still pick him over Murphy. Murphy had a class season, but ultimately he's just someone I would class as a hard worker, someone that's given up his all, but his ability, honestly, I don't think is as good as Mickey, to be honest. I would still pick him over Murphy, but definitely somewhere I do think we need to invest in.
So we'll finish up, Rob, your front three. It was Barnes, Wilson,
Gordon. Yeah.
Why do I keep forgetting Gordon's name? Adam.
So I said Barnes, Isak and Mickey.
I think that will be Tao's front three, I have to say. I think that will be the one he goes with on opening day. I mean, we'll see this weekend at the Cellar Cup more front threes. I mean, they were all different in the summer series. But I think mine, for purely exciting, I kind of agree with Rob. Going on the right, I'd have.
To be fair, I take either, to be honest, and that's the beauty of what we're doing, is we're pulling in a lot of players with a lot of options. And when you've got 3 games in a week like we will soon enough, it's nice to know that we have got different players to choose from.
Yeah, so mine, go Barnes, Isak, Gordon be my starting three. I think it's an exciting starting three. I think it will give Villa quite a headache as well. But lads, thank you very much for
having us on, Andy.
Recording with us. And yeah, make sure to drop a like and let us know in the comments who your ideal front three would be.